what was your thing? Goodwill Smith? How'd that one go?
I was just, it's, you know,
On
it's
Mad TV, they would often
like parodies.
combine two things.
I
So
pitched a thing
he had
called
Goodwill Smith.
Goodwill Smith, and
right.
he worked at an all-black college, and you know the the problem on the blackboard that no
Right.
one could solve was 2 + 2. Then Will Smith plays a janitor who puts a 4, and they go, "Who solved it?" It took the professors 8 years to figure this one out. They rejected it. They said it was like racist.
Hello. Well, welcome to Kakistocracy. My name is Chris Adams. I'm here with Joseph P. Larkin. That was a little clip I picked for the opening video because it's one of my favorite bits where it was Norm, obviously, and Artie Lang, and he's just pitching like a joke that didn't make it to Mad TV, which would have been awesome, by the way. Would have been hilarious.
You know, I like the fact that you've farm teamed our racism so that other people can be racist on our behalf, and now we don't have to say racist shit anymore. Because Artie, my man, that was the most racist sketch you could have pitched, and the fact that you pitched it to Mad TV of all things is really funny. It's so fucking funny.
If he was around, he would have pitched it to In Living Color. I feel like that's the kind of guy he was, or is. I mean, not was, is. But anyway,
In Living Color would have done it too.
yeah. Because they were just like whatever's funny. But that was a different time. That was when a comedy was just more like balls to the wall, and you could just be rude back in the day, and that was a fun time, I got to say. But yeah, so anyway, it's good to be back. It's I've had an interesting week. I got to do as editing stuff for satellite radio, so that was fun for a certain client that I was working with. And
Howard Stern.
no, nobody like no, not that guy. No. Different guy completely, just a comic. But I wanted to talk about comedy a little bit because it's changed so much over the years. As you've seen, I've seen it from different perspectives, like outside looking in. Now I'm inside looking in as well. And I would say that it's definitely not quite what it used to be, where there was different movements, right? So early 2000s, it was like Dane Cook and the college, what was that, Comedy Juice? Remember that? That was a movement. And then mid 2000s was the alternative scene, which we are still plagued by some of those people now.
Not really. Actually, a lot of those dudes fizzled out big time. And it's very satisfying to see those motherfuckers move home and see them doing some regional comedy instead of having to see them here inexplicably getting up everywhere on every show, even though no one likes them. No one thinks they're funny.
Right. But now, and then it became, well, what did they try to push, like Hannah Gatsby after that a little bit, and that fizzled out way faster than even alt comedy.
It was the SJW, because the alt comics were also SJWs, but they also were trying to be funny. They were making an effort. Because I remember when I moved to LA, the people that everyone was ripping off were Mark Maron,
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis,
Right.
and Mitch Hedberg. Even though Mitch Hedberg had been dead for fucking 10 years or whatever,
Right.
they were ripping him off. But at least they were ripping off people that wrote jokes.
Yes.
Like Mark Maron's the worst out of those three, but he still writes jokes, and he came from the comedy club system, so he knows how to entertain a crowd. Okay.
Right.
That morphed into just straight up SJWs. In fact, I don't know. I think we've talked about this privately, but we'll talk about it on the podcast too. But the alternative comedy scene completely ruined comedy in general for at least 10 years. 10 years. For something like 10 years, you couldn't charge money to go to shows. They all had to be free. And then they were like, oh, we have to like pretend to be political. So now all the shows aren't free. Now the shows cost like $20 and then they donate your money to fucking Planned Parenthood.
Right.
That's just why even bother. I don't even want to leave the house at this point. I don't want to even be on these shows. Like, fuck that, man. I'm not going to help you pay to kill babies. It's the same frustration I have with Israel, man. Like, what the fuck? I don't want to deal with any of this shit.
Right.
It's not in my wheelhouse to kill a baby, okay? So stop putting me into a position where I'm supposed to kill them. In fact, I use this thing called a rubber. So I've never had a pregnancy scare. I don't even know what it's like to have an abortion. I make sure that I don't come inside of a pussy if I don't like the girl enough.
Right.
That is how you solve the abortion crisis. Stop coming in pussies of people you don't like, or stop letting guys come inside of you if you don't like them that much. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. You're letting the guy put his thing inside you and then shoot goo inside of it. That doesn't concern you. You don't think that maybe you should use a rubber? And when gay guys die of AIDS, I laugh. I laugh because I used the rubber because I was afraid of AIDS, not realizing I'll
Right.
never get AIDS because I don't get fucked up the ass. There's no blood in my game.
Right.
So anyway, I always laugh because it's like all you had to do is put a rubber on, dickhead, and then you wouldn't get AIDS.
Right.
You refused. You
Absol-
just won't do it.
Absolutely.
You fetishized getting AIDS, and then you want me to fucking feel sorry for you? The funniest thing I've ever seen that I've laughed hardest at, more than anything I've ever laughed at, was this meme which showed the number of people who died of AIDS in the gay man's choir of San Francisco. And there was literally only 3 dudes left that hadn't died, but they still had AIDS. Everyone else who's been in the gay men's choir in San Francisco died of fucking AIDS. Oh, and as long as I'm on the subject, fuck it. I'm just gonna keep talking about gay
Yeah.
dudes.
Let's go.
You know, a big problem I have with this woke SJW bullshit is that they shoehorn gay people and stuff that gay people don't care about. Like Star Wars is like, why don't you make some gay movies for gay dudes? And
Yeah.
I'll actually give you examples of movies that were made about gay dudes that are actually honest and worth watching. There's the second movie by William Friedkin, the guy that directed The French Connection, if you remember for us talking about this last week.
Right.
It's called and the band played on, and the band played on. It's a very famous play about all these gay dudes and what their life was like in the 70s in San Francisco. And if you go look at the IMDb for and the band played on, every fucking one of them died of AIDS except for 2 guys who were not gay. They were just straight guys pretending to be gay.
For the money.
Everyone else, they were gay for pay. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And so they all died of AIDS too. And it's like, it's at some point you got to look at your game, girl, as Charles Manson once sang. Look at your game, girl. You're the reason you got AIDS. No one
Yeah.
else. It's not Reagan's fault you got AIDS.
No.
Reagan didn't give you AIDS. I'm sorry, he just didn't. He would have loved to. He would have done it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You just didn't. You gave it to yourself. But and the band played it on. I really recommend that movie because the type of movies they show about gay people are so fictitious and false. And I always feel bad for gay dudes. I'm like, do you like being represented in this fashion as this whiny little bitch? They
Right.
make you look like a faggot.
Yeah.
They just make you look like fags. But you can watch movies that are about gay people where they just act like regular dudes. They just act like dudes, but who happen to be gay.
Yeah. John
And
Waters
the band
movies.
played on. That's the one I recommend. No, actually, that's a good place. That's a good place to become a homophobe because
Oh.
it's like, okay, dude, he has at least one movie where like a drag queen eats a pile of dog shit or something like that. It's like this guy is
Right.
not doing any favors to the gay movement at all. Now, don't get me wrong. I love John Waters. If you want to laugh and a half, just look up one of his interviews on YouTube and just cackle away at how catty he is. But man, he is one of the worst movie makers of all time. Every movie is a steaming pile of shit for a
Right.
drag queen to eat on camera.
Right.
I really can't stand him, his work, I mean, but I love him as a guy. I
Yeah,
think he's
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, his interviews are great. I went to the Academy Museum and I saw like they had a exhibit with him in there, his movies and stuff. And
Oh, cool.
I looked at it and I went, I don't get any of this. I've only seen, I think Pecker was the only one I've ever seen. That was okay. That was like a more structured movie.
That was one of his sellout movies, like Serial Mom, that he made just to like have a popular movie. His
Right.
good one, his quote, good one, his good ones
Yeah.
are the ones that are from the 70s. when
Okay.
he was just making them for shits and giggles. But you saw this at the Oscar Museum, is that or the Academy
The
of Motion
Academy.
Arts?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
That's how. That's hilarious. They'd never give him a fucking Oscar in a million
uh
years, but they will show you a bunch of his old shit that he doesn't that he had in storage somewhere.
right.
Makes me think about when I went to the Grammy Museum to go see an exhibit about the Ramones, and I was like laughing the whole time. I was like, they wouldn't fucking put the Ramones on the Grammys for $1 million.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give the Ramones a Grammy in a million fucking years.
Mm-mm.
Yet they will profit off of them by putting them in this stupid fake museum that, of course, my dumb ass went to. Had to go,
Well,
you know?
I went because my uncle was in town and my brother was like, let's do the museum thing. So we went to the car museum first, the Peterson. That was really
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember this 'cause I remember seeing it on your Facebook. I was super jealous.
Yeah.
The Peterson Museum is really cool. I'm really jealous that you went to that.
I've never been before, but not after looking at all these beautiful cars back in the day, I was like, wow, there used to be pieces of art. And then,
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah, they used to have beautiful design and it just cars were they're more than just function. They were also like an expression of American like craftsmanship. And but after
Uh-huh.
that, we went to the Academy Museum to look at. They had the Godfather set. That was actually really cool. The Godfather set was there with all their costumes were in there, and I realized how short everybody is. Like all the actors are like my height,
Hmm.
like 5'4", 5'5" at the most. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just all these tough guys are so tiny. They're
Hmm.
basically midgets, and but the Godfather part was cool, and then you kept going to the different parts of the museum, and they showed like all the other costumes of different movies coming to America. They had those costumes, but then eventually we got to the John Waters section. He had his own floor, and they had a bunch of
Hmm.
his movie props and things, and I saw like he was like the shock jock of filmmaking, basically. Like that was what he is.
Oh, totally.
So for in that way it's interesting, but I could never actually sit and enjoy a whole movie of his. Not saying I don't like him, I'm just like it's just not for me, and that's fine you know
Yeah. And it's not the same as Eraserhead by David Lynch. Like Eraserhead is also hard to sit through, but I know there's significance or meaning to it. So I'll sit
right.
there and watch it to the end. There's no meaning to anything John Waters does.
Mm-mm.
That's okay. It's just supposed to be like mindless entertainment.
Right.
You reminded me though that I also went to that museum when I
Okay.
first moved here because they had an exhibit about the wardrobe in Ingmar Bergman movies. So, I like Ingmar Bergman. He's a big hero of mine. So I was like, well, I'll go look at the wardrobe, I guess. I went by myself. I went to that museum and just walked around and looked at a bunch of old dresses
Yeah.
and then went home.
Oh
Ah,
man.
awesome.
Yeah.
Who am I
Why are you
calling
gay?
gay? I'm the gay guy here. I should make a gay movie about
Yeah,
myself
for sure.
and the gay shit that the gay shit that I get into.
Right. Right. Well, I like going to the museums because it's like I feel like getting a glimpse of this weird world. Like, and we also went to the art museum the next time my uncle came into town. So, what's that big one right there, right next to the tar pits? What is it? I forget which one.
I forgot the name of it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But I know what you're
the
talking about. I've been there too.
the biggest museum I think in LA. I think it's probably the biggest.
Yeah.
Um,
That's I forgot the name, but that's where the Stanley Kubrick exhibit was about
yeah.
12 years or 12 or maybe 15 years ago now. Damn. That did you go to that Kubrick installation?
No, no, I missed it. What we saw.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah, I don't always go to museums. I used to when I was in college because I had to, and that was cool. I got to see like
Hmm.
unique art and stuff. But with this, I went and saw it was a lot of classical art from Renaissance and before a little bit, and you look at these paintings and you realize how much beauty there used to be in art back in the day.
Hmm.
Like people, and it's not. Someone was saying, "Oh, well, they made it religious art," but not all of it was religious. Some of it was just uh, like a Dutch It was Dutch paintings of just a scene in the life of some random person. Obviously, they were wealthy, but
Mm-hmm.
the even the eyes and everything about these paintings, it just was so beautiful. And then we went and saw a modern art installation, and I immediately turned to my brother and said, "What the hell is this?" And he goes, "It's open to
Mm-hmm.
interpretation." And I'm like, "Well, I interpret it that this sucks. You know, this isn't
Mm-hmm.
good. It's just a bunch of crap on the floor. Like, I don't even understand it. It's not like what we had seen just a little bit ago, where it was just this beautiful art and you could see the eyes expressing something that's passed down through the
Mm-hmm.
centuries. And this is just like like a spring on a floor and a other piece of garbage. I'm like, this is yes, it's open to interpretation, but it's what is it trying to say? You know?
It's trying to say you're an idiot for looking at this. They're mocking you.
Right. That's
It's
what it
all
feels
it's all
like.
garbage. If you want to see the absolute worst painting ever made, it's called Woman, and
Hmm.
it's by William de Kooning. I really have a fixation on this guy because I hate him so much. But he's like one of the pioneers of abstract art. It's just garbage, and I don't agree with that assessment that it's open to interpretation because you have a guy like Picasso
Mm-hmm.
who demonstrated in his early life that he could draw. He could draw and he could paint. He could draw and paint realistically.
Right.
So when he does abstracts, I know they have significance and meaning because he actually knows what he's doing. He knows how to paint.
Mm-hmm.
William de Kooning doesn't know fucking shit. He thought, I hate women. I think it'd be really funny to make a really ugly, disgusting painting of a fat woman. I think it's called Woman 4, by the way.
Oh.
And it's gonna be gigantic and it's gonna fill up a whole fucking wall of a museum and completely waste everyone's time.
Mm.
That's totally what they're doing. They're trolling us. They're 100% trolling us. And you can tell that's the way it is because the art world doesn't really function like it used to. You
No.
used to have like you used to have an internship that lasted like 20 fucking years where
Yeah.
you just worked alongside Da Vinci or whoever, and they
Mm-hmm.
taught you how to be an artist, a real artist.
Right.
They taught you all the fundamentals. They taught you. Nowadays, you don't get anything. I always think about my art school experience. What experience? They didn't teach me how to write grants. They didn't teach me how to get my fucking shit. They didn't teach me how to network and get my shit into a fucking gallery.
Right.
They didn't teach me how to fuck my way into a gallery. Because, by the way, that's how it all works.
Right.
It's the same as the comedy world. It's the same as the movie industry. It's like sex is currency. You have to
Mm-hmm.
fuck your way into a position where you can sell your paintings.
Right.
End of discussion. It's all garbage. It's all meaningless.
Right. And
That's it.
they well
End of podcast.
yeah, done, stamped over. They had
Is
a
that all I
Picasso.
needed to say?
Well, they had Picasso there at that when I
Hmm.
went there, and I saw his early work, and it was just beautiful as well. It was as beautiful as those Dutch paintings and the Renaissance
Hmm.
and the Middle Ages paintings. It had the same quality, and then his later work was more abstract. So yeah, he could he could draw, no problems. He was a
But
classically trained.
even though his later stuff is abstract, but you can still tell it's painted well. Like it looks nice.
Right.
Gauguin looks nice.
Hmm.
Monet looks nice. It's not till like the 50s and people or the 40s maybe when you got people like Jackson Pollock who was just literally pouring paint on the fucking floor. Like that's not art.
Right.
It doesn't have any meaning or significance and he was just a drunk. He
Right.
was just a fucking drunk. And by the way, he was a Picasso knockoff when he started, but he
Mm.
wasn't good enough to paint like Picasso. So this is why he started dumping shit on the floor.
Well, wasn't he
Whatever.
also a CIA asset? So I believe the government or our
I
government
hear that.
sponsored him in order to prove that to the Russians that we could make art out of anything. We can make anything
Hmm.
significant, and so he
Hmm.
got funded from grants from the CIA, basically, or intelligence operations, in order to battle the Russians with their art, which is probably better, I would say. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So it was just like what they were trying to show was that Picasso had the free American spirit of you could just throw paint on a thing and that's art. It kind of made art
Hmm.
cheap, actually.
Hmm. Definitely. I mean, art is also used for trafficking
Money
and for
laundering.
money laundering.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. I read some pretty fucking interesting stories sometimes where like someone will buy some $2 million painting and then
Hmm.
someone just stuck like a bunch of child porn
Oh
on
shit.
like a little disc that they stuck inside the frame. So it was basically just a lot of that art that gets shipped here is basically just a front for shipping drugs and
Just
I
bad.
guess child porn or whatever.
Ugh.
I mean, I could only imagine what Terry Richardson or all these photographers, what kind of child porn they have in their
Yeah.
vault or their safe, the stuff that they won't show us compared to what they do show us. Do you remember this thing called American Apparel?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like
That
that
was
was another thing that was
wild.
really big when I moved. It was like softcore porn, but that's what
Yeah.
that Terry Richardson style of photography is. I don't know. I kind of want to get into that stuff because I have a friend who does porn, and I already told her like, I'm trying to learn how to use my camera. I'll just if you need to do like some kind of OnlyFans thing, I'll just take pictures for free because I need the experience and I want to build up a resume. But I can't tell you how fucking easy that job would be. Just go over to some girl's house and be like, just bring some lights and just be like, listen, pick out the underwear you want and I'll match the lights to them so that it makes sense. So it makes sense visually. But I mean, can you tell me an easier job, especially nowadays that you don't have film in the
Hmm.
equation? I
Right.
mean, like when I shot this girl, the only time I shot her, which was at AVN in Vegas,
Mm.
I only got to have her for 5 minutes or whatever. But I got like I don't know 50 to 75 really good shots that she could use for whatever as promo material or whatever. And I thought, damn, dude, imagine if I had an hour with this person. I don't know. Now I'm just talking about photography, but
Yeah. I'm like, okay, dude.
so, that's nothing to do with anything we were talking about before.
Well, a
I'm
little
just saying
bit.
I'm just saying I would be satisfied taking pictures of a naked 28-year-old woman as opposed to children. That's all. I guess
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
You're a normal
Like
human.
whatever. I'll use my photography skills to fuck an adult woman, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
But well, this thing else that you need to think about, Chris, is that in the entertainment industry, in the comedy world, especially, there's a glass ceiling for someone with morals.
right,
I kind
for
of
sure.
alluded to this on another time when we were talking about this, but like, it's not just that they want you to fuck other guys or
Hmm.
do this or that. Like, they want you on drugs too. They want you compromised. They
Right.
don't want you to be somebody who's sober and normal
Hmm.
and like there's no asexuals. Like people that don't like being around other people, those people don't succeed in Hollywood. You have to fuck your way up the ladder. It's
Right.
just how it works.
Right.
And anytime I've been presented with an opportunity to move up the ladder, I just wasn't gay enough and I didn't do drugs. I wasn't interested in drugs enough.
Right.
They
Well,
definitely liked me a lot better back in the day when I was more willing to just drink and smoke weed around them, which I won't
yeah.
do now.
I had an interesting experience, and I won't say who it is, but I'll give clues. So if you can put it together. But I one of the comics we used to represent at my work, we don't anymore. But uh, like it was a guy that I had initially thought, oh, this guy's really funny. I thought, and the first time you see them, they're really funny. The second time, you're like, wait a minute, this is kind of the same stuff. You're supposed to be this improv guy, but it's kind of like you're just
Mm-hmm.
doing the same bits over and over again, really, just in front of different audiences, so they don't care. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
so I had access to his social media because that's what I get to do for my work, and anyway, I like I saw this message from a girl pop up, and he's married, right? He has a house. Well, his
Mm-hmm.
wife family owns the house, so whatever. But she was like, "Hey, it was so great seeing you," or something, or he wrote to her like, "It was great to see you. It was awesome to see your asshole." And I was like, "Jesus, dude, a, you know, your
The guy's
wife."
got game.
Yeah, no, I'm look, hey, whatever, man. But it kind of it made me go, "Oh, you gotta just have no morals to do well in this game." And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I could
yeah,
tell you stories about Jim Gaffigan because his wife writes his material, but he cheats on his wife all the time.
damn.
That takes balls. That
Yeah.
takes mega balls. That
That's
takes balls of steel.
mm-hmm.
to cheat on the woman who writes all your jokes for you. And by the way, she might be the only good female comic, but we'll never know.
Right.
Like, she definitely has a unique perspective, and she doesn't talk about shit that normal women talk about.
Right.
There's no sex talk at all in Jim Gaffigan's material. In fact, the only thing I like about him is his material. I like the fact that he just talks about food and like boring normal shit.
Right.
Whatever. Good for you, Jim. Good for
Right.
you, Jim's wife.
Wow, that's a shame because it makes it makes me bummed out because like I before I got into comedy like even somewhat semi-professionally like you go, oh, these are the truth tellers, these are the honest guys, and then the further along you go, you're like, oh, they're not saying anything, they're not even they're cheating on their wives or whatever, these
Or
aren't.
how about Norm Macdonald? They think about Norm Macdonald. This is a guy we love, all right? We
Right.
admire him. But dude, he's a fucking bold-faced liar. All he
Mm,
does is lie in the interviews because he'll never admit this, but he was a hardcore drug addict and he was violent when he was on drugs. He beat the shit out of Christopher Lloyd one day at the Comedy Store. He
whoa.
just beat him up in the OR. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so all that stuff about Jesus is that he went into the program. I would bet you $1 million he went into AA, and that's
Hmm.
how he became a born again Christian. Which is why all of his later stuff, like the last 10 years of his life when he had cancer, it's great
Yeah.
because he was forced to be. He really had to he was forced to be himself. He
Hmm.
couldn't rely on drugs. In fact, if I remember reading somewhere that, or maybe I saw this on an interview where he said the first handful of times he did stand up, he was on Xanax or something like that. And that's exactly what it was like for me, by the way. I
Mm.
like stole some codeine pills out of my sister's drug supply. And that's how I got through
The first
I don't
set.
know, the first 20 times or whatever I did stand up. I mean, for me, it wasn't even the fear of getting on stage. It was just having to interact with the other comedians. I hated it. I
Right.
hated it right from the get-go. I was like, these people suck. Because I lived right down the street from the only comedy venue in New Orleans. On Friday nights, I'd drive down there and I'd see the other comics hanging around outside. And I'd just be like, nope. No way. I'm going back home. Fuck it. I'm not doing comedy, I guess. It took like 2 years to work up the nerve just to be around these sleazy fucks. And what's funny is I didn't even know, man, they're way worse than I thought they were. Like
Right.
they're like 1,000 times worse, a million times worse, a
Well,
gazillion times worse.
now it makes me wonder, like, what was Bill Hicks like? Who are like? I met Stanhope because through a friend, and he was just more depressed than I ever could imagine. I was like,
He's a
oh,
sad motherfucker. Yeah, he's a
yeah.
sad fuck.
It made
I
me
can't get
sad.
into his comedy either because of his sadness. I remember watching one of his specials where he's standing in front of a bunch of mirrors
Hmm.
and he's down in drinks to the point where he's slurring his words even at the beginning of the special, and it's like, dude, I just can't watch this. This is sad. This
Right.
isn't funny to me, dude. And
Yeah.
also his comedy is illogical to me because the one bit that really pissed me off is he was talking about how like he's just trying to be an edgelord or whatever, but he's saying something like, um, "Oh man, your kids aren't that hot. Pedophiles don't want to fuck your kids," and it's like, yeah, no, they do actually, buddy.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck what your kid looks like. They give a fuck that your kid's a kid. They fuck anyone. In
Right.
fact, look at Screech from Saved by the Bell. You think he didn't get raped in Hollywood? He
Oh, for
wasn't a
sure.
good-looking kid.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, that's what I would say to Doug Stanhope if he was here. Fuck you, Doug. Stop defending pedophiles.
Right. Well, I did notice that over time, like I used to look up to him, and now I just maybe after meeting him, I just don't. His material just didn't hit at all ever again for
Hmm.
me. I was like, oh, this guy is just sad, and then so is um like all of them really. Like most of them. Well, now I mean I see it now from a different perspective in that no matter how much money they get, no matter how much success they get, they're always just constantly trying to fill the void. Instead of like going, "Hey, I got a wife and a kid. I should like be happy with those things." They're just like, "No, no, more, 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 more. I need more praise from all these random people." And it's like, man, I just wish you could
Hmm.
just be happy, you know? Like because you're doing the thing that does bring joy to people. People like it. Why can't you
Hmm.
have inner peace? That's why I did like Norm. You're right. His later stuff was the best. It was just like
Hmm.
boom, like he was just trying to be himself. And I got to see him in one of his later shows before he passed at the Irvine Improv with my brother, and Like he didn't kill, but he had the audience the whole time. You know, he had them interested, and um,
Hmm.
he even made fun of COVID and stuff. It was like the very beginning of COVID. It was right before
Hmm.
it
That
passed.
you might have saw the you might have saw the last set he ever did,
I think
because
I
it's on
did.
YouTube.
Yeah, I
He
think I
posted
was
it. He
there.
just posted the COVID part, and
Right.
then yeah, that might have been the very last set he ever did. It's
Yeah.
really weird too, because if you, I don't know if you the final days of his life, but it wasn't. It didn't look like he was gonna die. The reason
Mm-mm.
he died is because COVID was all fucked. Like the hospitals were all fucked up because of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean he might have technically died of COVID or something. I don't even fucking know.
I don't know.
Um, yeah, COVID was a big nothing, but it did kill John Prine, and that really pissed me off. Of all the people you could have killed, you killed the one guy I liked.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But
But John Prine only had one lung to begin with, so he was gonna die of
anyway,
some respiratory ailment. So whatever.
right.
But yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, it was you know, it was kind of a bummer to when Norm passed. I was really affected by that because I really did love his stuff, and his like he was obviously the smartest guy in the room, but he played the dumbest guy, which is
Hmm.
which you hope to do, you know, because like as a comic, you don't want to be above everyone, and that's another thing that I can't stand about comedy now is just even hearing people they talk about it openly on podcasts and how that oh we're comics, we're so much better. They don't say this directly, but they're basically saying that they're better than the audience, and I'm like, no, you're not, because
Hmm.
without the audience, a comic is nothing, right? So
Well, exactly, exactly. That's like when Joe Rogan and his little fucking faggot butt buddies will talk about comedy and they refer to the audience as civilians. It's
yeah,
like, dude, didn't you grow out of that shit during your first year of comedy? Like, grow
right,
up, you fucking faggot, you retard.
right,
You think that you're like a military operation? No, dude, you're humping a stool.
yeah,
Okay? This is not art. It's not art at all. It's barely entertainment. I don't even think it's entertainment. It's not entertaining to me.
right,
So you're the civilian, Joe.
mm-hmm.
You're a civilian. You're the civilian. I would actually really love to. I would love to talk to Joe Rogan, like man to man, like have a real conversation with him and talk about like, Joe, you were only funny one time in your life and it was on news radio, but you're
Mm-hmm.
so clueless you don't understand that the character was making fun of you directly. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, because sometimes I watch news radio because it comes on TV still. It comes on TV like every single day still, the
Right.
reruns. So every so often I'll be flipping through and I'll just see it. And Joe Rogan is presented as a closeted gay guy who's into conspiracy theories. The only thing they didn't add was the pot part.
Right.
They were totally making fun of him, and he has no, I don't think he has any fucking idea. He should know because he never did any acting after that. That
Right.
should have been a huge indicator that no one else thought he was funny, and they only thought he was funny because they were making fun of him. And I love the idea that he was the gayest member of news radio with Andy Dick right there. He was still gayer than Andy Dick. And if you really watch the show closely, they make it abundantly clear that Andy Dick is not gay. His character's not gay. He hooks up with hot women all the time. Joe Rogan never does. Joe Rogan never hooks up with women. He's always making fun of Matthew for being gay. And it's like, no, dude, that's projection.
Mm-hmm.
They're making fun of you. And by the way, I don't think Andy Dick is gay in real life because he has like 3 kids or something like that. Like,
Right.
if he's gay, he's doing it all wrong. I think he's just like a regular old perv. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Andy Dick, you don't need to watch the boys in the band. I don't think you can relate to it. I think
No.
it wouldn't make any sense to you.
Well,
Now, Joe Rogan, you would really get a kick out of the boys in the band. It's all about these gay dudes just like you. I mean, even just being interested in wrestling and
UFC.
UFC, that's gay.
Mm.
Yeah. Like when I flip through the channels, I'll watch this show called Wow, Women of Wrestling. Because
Right.
some of the women are hot and I want to see them roll around on the floor, sticking their crotches in each other's faces.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't watch men's wrestling. That's why I don't watch UFC, because I don't want to see a guy put a cock in another guy's face. That just doesn't appeal to me. Okay? It just doesn't interest me.
Right.
I want to watch World of Women. I liked when I was growing up. I didn't watch WWF. Me and my sister watched Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, because
Hmm.
there are hot bitches on it, and girls like to look at hot bitches too. That's something that
Right.
I feel like we've forgotten about in our society. Is that the reason why there's hot bitches on Gilmore Girls
Hmm.
or Knots Landing is because women like hot bitches too. Did you
Hmm.
notice there's a ton of hot bitches on The Sopranos?
Yeah.
No hot guys.
Right.
Not a single hot guy on the whole show, but all of the women are fuckable.
Hmm.
Every fucking woman on The Sopranos rings a bell. If you like mommies and MILFs, you want to fuck Carmella.
Right.
If you like Italian broads, oh my God, you're in luck. There's like a fucking million of them. This is like the only place I ever see Italian chicks on TV. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Why don't they make me the mayor of Hollywood so I can fucking
Well,
fix TV?
we used to have yeah, it used to be more beautiful people, but I don't know, there was that moment in entertainment where they tried to pretend that they didn't want that anymore, and so we had a lot of
Yeah, with the
just
Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is the best example because I'm not even into Lord of the Rings, but a couple of years ago I did because they were on Amazon because they
Mhm.
were promoting that stupid TV show. So I was like, dude, get a life, Joseph. You need to at least look at some stuff that normal people like and try to understand them.
Right.
So I watched all three of I watched all six of them because there's six of these fucking movies.
Yeah.
But the first three, all the women are flawless and they're barely in it, but they're flawless. It's like Liv Tyler, who I think Liv Tyler is like the perfect woman. I
Mm.
think she's just flawless. There's nothing I don't like about Liv Tyler.
Right.
There's Liv Tyler in it, and then you look at the new one and it's just some fat black lady, and it's like, dude. No one wants to see this woman. Black
No.
guys don't. I know they don't. I know
No.
they don't. Why do you think they be fucking white girls? What the fuck you think's going on around here?
Yeah, I mean, we used to know that it wasn't just that sex sold; it's just that beauty sells. Really, it's not per
Beauty
se.
sells.
It's not
Yeah.
sex; it's beauty, and everyone likes. That's why we're not on TV. We shouldn't be.
hmm
I don't want to see someone like me on anything.
No way.
No.
No fucking way. Exactly. Unless I'm the comic relief. Like
Right.
something I've already championed Kathy Griffin before on the show, but I'll do
Hmm.
it again. I like that she realizes her value. She knew she could never be the star of the show and she was content with being the sidekick.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was the smart move because that stupid fucking Suddenly Susan show still comes on TV. It's
Mm.
been in syndication for 30 years, just like news radio.
Hmm.
I'm like so fascinated by this stuff because culture is so bad now that they really don't go any further back than Friends. Like
Yeah.
most of the stuff that syndication is either Big Bang Theory, Friends, or what was the other show I was just talking about? Oh yeah, News Radio for some reason stayed on TV for 30 years, even though it wasn't popular when it was on originally.
Oh. Okay.
But TV is so bad now that people are like, "Oh, I'll go watch a show from 30 years ago because it's better
Yeah.
than watching what's on TV now." In
Well.
fact, if you look at the streaming, I'm sorry, I'm like just being
No.
a
No.
motor
Go.
mouth,
Go.
but
Go.
if you look at if you look at streaming stats, stuff like Gilmore Girls, which again was not very popular during its heyday, is really popular now because
Hmm.
people are like, God, I'm so tired of looking at ugly people. At least have the main characters be hot because
Right.
Gilmore Girls is filled with ugly people, but the main characters are all hot.
Right.
They're all hot, and you like looking at them, and I like watching them kiss. God damn it! And I like thinking, I wish I was kissing a Gilmore girl right now. Let me be a Gilmore boy. I'll be the Gilmore boy kissing this girl. But whatever.
Right. Well.
I mean, most of my TV, I'm gonna say all of my TV viewing revolves around whether or not there's hot girls on the show that I want to fuck. It's
Right.
always been like this ever since I was a kid.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Maybe you didn't know how to say it, but it was there. And
I couldn't articulate that I wanted to fuck them, and I probably couldn't even get a boner. But I did know this. I loved Bewitched, and I
hmm.
loved I Dream
Hmm.
of Jeannie, and I loved
Yeah.
it because the moms were hot, or the main women on the show were fucking hot. That's
Right.
it. That's all I liked about it.
Yeah, I didn't know how to articulate it, but I was like, I want that in my life somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That type of
Now,
person.
don't get me wrong. I think a show like Roseanne is genius, but it's
Hmm.
genius because everyone's ugly on it,
Right.
because they took it and subverted it. I don't
Right.
know. It's really funny too, because Roseanne's another show that comes on like 5 times a day, every day on various channels, and sometimes I'll just get caught watching it, and I'm always so struck by the fact that that used to be the offensive TV show,
Hmm.
stuff like that, or Married with Children, where the family stayed together and loved each other and did nice things for each other. That used to be the bad stuff that was on TV. Now look at television.
It's
No
worse.
moral compass at all.
No.
Yeah, there's no one likes each other. Friends is a good example of that. These
Hmm.
people aren't friends at all. They're mean to each other. The
Right.
stuff they say to each other you'd never tolerate from your friend.
Hmm.
But that's
And
what comedy has been for 30 years now.
well, I was gonna say another one of those shows is All in the Family, where the guy was technically what racist in a way, but he was so lovable that it didn't matter because you're just like he's so funny
Hmm.
and interesting, and he's just a blue collar guy, and he became the
Hmm.
hero despite I know the showrunner didn't want him to be the hero, but he was. He wanted Rob Reiner
Hmm.
to be the hero, but everyone was like, no, that guy's an idiot. This other guy, yeah, he says the
Yeah,
wrong
meathead.
things. Yeah, meathead. The other guy says the wrong things, but his heart's in the right place. You know?
Hmm. It's interesting that Rob Reiner never grew out of that role either. He
No.
still is on Twitter and shit, acting like meathead.
Yeah.
Go sit in the chair, meathead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny. A lot of it also is just because most people are dumb now and they can't see anything that has depth.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched the French Connection because it was on Amazon Prime, but they removed a scene.
Yes,
They
they
removed a
did. Yeah.
scene from streaming where Gene. I don't even. I haven't seen that scene in 20 fucking years or something, so I have no idea what he even talks about. But he says something to the effect of "You can't trust niggers,"
Mm.
and he's not supposed to be a nice guy. And then there's
No.
also supposed to be that scene was originally supposed to bump up against the scene where we see him being nice to a black guy.
Right.
We're supposed to understand that he's a complicated character, that
Right.
he can say racist stuff without necessarily being racist.
Yeah.
And this is
Nuance.
very frustrating. Yes, it's frustrating. And they took that scene out and it's like, well, this actually made his character make sense. His character doesn't make any sense anymore. Now he's just a dumb fuck. He's
Mm-hmm.
just some dumb cop that fucks up.
Right.
I mean, maybe that is supposed to be the point, but leaving the word in would make it easier for people to get that point.
Well, he was also based on
And
the
also,
real.
I need
Okay.
well, I need to point this out too, is that he says frog for French people like 50
Oh.
times in both French Connection movies. So just so we're clear, you can be racist towards French people
Mm-hmm.
over and over again, but
Mm-hmm.
you cannot say one demeaning thing about black people that's not even directed at any black person in particular.
Yeah. Well, but that
That's what they told us.
them's the rules. Yeah. You
It's
know.
just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just nonsense, and it doesn't make any sense. The point of Popeye Doyle is that he is racist, and he does hate black people and French people.
Right.
And when you remove the black people, now he just seems like a fucking SJW or some dipshit. Just
Well,
yeah, I don't know. It really bothers me.
I think it's
It
even
really
worse.
bothered me.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that though. It's saying that a certain group is less than. They can't even hear that, or else they're below this other group.
That's
So
exactly what I was thinking too. Like they know that French people won't riot
right,
if they hear that word in a movie. They are not so sure about black people. They think that black people will act exactly the way racists say they will act. That's
right,
something they don't seem to ever pick up on the irony of that, but that's exactly what they were saying. They're
hmm,
saying French people will understand that this is just a movie. Black people are stupid and they will get mad. They can't hear this. They can't hear this or it'll piss them off. Get out of here.
right, and that's talking down to these people, and it's like no, they know it was in the movie in the '70s. They saw it. They,
Hmm.
it's not like it's not a hidden thing.
Yeah.
It's more actually offensive than leaving it in my opinion.
Well, having watched it again, they don't. It's really frustrating because there is no plot to that movie. Nothing happens.
Mm.
It's a character study. We're watching Popeye Doyle, and he's not a nice person. He's not a good guy. He's not doing this to help anyone. He's just obsessed. He's a
Hmm.
narcissist. He's obsessed with catching this one guy, and it carries over to the second movie, which I watched both of them the other day.
Okay.
Um,
I've never seen the
and
second
I
one.
recommend him. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
I'm always going to recommend stuff on Amazon Prime because I assume most people already have Prime because
Right.
it's really good for the shipping deal.
Right.
But it's also the only streaming site that I know of that plays old movies. Like
Hmm.
the day after Gene Hackman died or whatever, they put a little. They just basically took all the movies that hadn't been on Amazon last month
Mm-hmm.
and put all the Gene Hackman movies back on. So you could just go and watch all these Gene Hackman movies, which I have been doing. And by the
Mm.
way, the guy was a genius
Yeah.
because his last few movies, like Tenenbaums and Sweethearts, and there was a movie called Welcome to Mooseport. Oh, and also the Birdcage. He gets top billing. He is not in these movies for more than 10 minutes. He's
Oh.
barely in these movies. So I can see why he retired when he did because it was pointless to keep doing it. Like The Birdcage is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I couldn't even get through the whole thing. That's actually what got brought up that gay rant earlier because it's just a fucking it's a fucking minstrel show for gay dudes. It's insulting. Gay
Right.
dudes don't act like this. They're mincing around. They're wearing short shorts. The only thing I liked about it, and like, there's a problem is you can't really just depict regular gay dudes' lives because it's so gross to normal people.
Yeah.
Like the one part that got accurate was that there's an older couple, older gay dudes that are together who have a rent boy that lives with them that fucks them for rent.
Mm.
That's the only thing that they got right in that whole movie. And I was actually shocked that they didn't explain what that guy was doing there because it's like this ain't common in heterosexual America. You
No.
don't just have a fucking concubine that lives with you and cleans up after you and then fucks you for
Mm.
rent. That just doesn't fuck. I mean, I wish it did. I wish we could make that happen, but we're just not that advanced, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, if I was a gay dude, I'd be deeply offended by the Birdcage, and I'd be psyched about a movie like the boys, whatever, the boys in the band, whatever that movie was I was talking about.
Oh, the
It's
documentary?
really the only gay movie. It's not even a documentary. It just
Oh,
feels like one because it shows gay dudes like real people, not
okay.
like some kind of weird cartoon. Like the Robin Williams and Nathan Lane performances in The Birdcage are deeply offensive. They're stereotypes. They're offensive.
Oh,
I
okay.
just don't understand why you wouldn't be offended. Why wouldn't you? You've not seen the movie, I'm assuming.
No, no, no. Never. Never
Oh,
just
well, let me explain it.
okay.
Sorry. Okay,
No,
The
no,
Birdcage
yeah.
is about Nathan Lane and Nathan Lane and Robin Williams are a gay couple,
Okay.
and for some reason Robin Williams has a son even though he's gay.
Mm.
It doesn't make any sense, and they have to hide the fact that they're gay from Gene Hackman because Gene Hackman was a senator and he was like a conservative. This is almost an interesting premise for a movie, I think.
Yeah.
It could be very funny to have them hide the fact that they're gay from him, but the way they do it is just deeply offensive. So like they tell Nathan Lane like you're too flaming, you can't come to the dinner and meet Gene Hackman. And so he shows up dressed in drag. He's clearly a guy wearing
Right.
clothing of women. He's not even trying to look like an actual woman or sound like one.
Okay.
And I'm just supposed to believe that Gene Hackman's buying it. Like Gene Hackman's just sitting there going like, "Well, look at this nice lady. Get the fuck out of here." It's just insulting.
Yeah.
It's insulting to me, and I'm not even gay. That's not even this isn't even my problem. I'm still bothered by it. I
Right.
would much rather. And if they had Popeye Doyle be the dad, now there's a fucking movie. Popeye
Yeah.
Doyle meets his son's gay father. That would be a fucking movie.
Right.
And by the way, they tried to shoehorn G. Hackman, particularly in his later roles, into so many movies where he's supposed to be like a conservative, racist
Mm.
president or senator. It's just nonsense. I fucking hate Hollywood. It's so stupid. They really did make this guy look like a fucking clown at the end of his career, despite the early part of his career where he just played badasses the whole time.
Right. You play tough guys and
Something else something I liked about the French Connection movies too. I'm sorry, I'm really talking over
no,
you, but
no, no, no. It's fine.
uh, I'm just excited about Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen the second one before, the French Connection Part Two.
Right.
So I was really intrigued. I was really intrigued to watch it, and his performance really is startlingly good in both those movies. He
Okay.
is awesome. And I love that there is no plot to either of the movies. It doesn't matter. In fact, the first movie ends and they're like, yeah, everyone got away. Everyone got like some guy served 4 years, but everyone else got away.
Right.
It didn't mean anything. Their collar meant nothing. It meant shit. It was
Wow.
pointless.
Another.
I fucking love that shit.
Well, I just wanted to update because, well, at least put it on a record that they figured out what happened with his death, and that his wife died of what was the disease? It was from like it was
It's
from
basically if you either get bit by a rat or it's such a toxic substance,
mm,
rat shit, I guess.
yes,
She might have just went. I was thinking about this all week because I was thinking like she could have got bit by a rat because it was they were hoarders,
Oh,
but they lived on a ranch, so she could have just went out to the barn and cleaned up and gotten some on her hand, and then that's enough when you're 65 years old to fucking kill you.
right.
So yeah, she died of that in the bathroom. She probably thought she was having a heart episode, which is why the pills were all over the floor. And
Oh,
then so
and then
Gene Hackman was he was bedbound. He was so I mean, who knows? He
yeah,
probably sat in there for days before he got. He probably sat in there for a fucking week before he got up and said, "What's going on? Like, where's
yeah.
that lady that usually feeds me? What happened to that little lady?"
Well, he has Alzheimer's, or he had all. I can never say it right. Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, old
Yeah,
timers,
old timers disease.
Alzheimer's. He
And
had Alzheimer's. So, and by the way, I want you to know that he had a great run because he was still cycling up till last year. Last year
whoa,
was like when he was 94 is when he started to be bedbound or be housebound, I guess. So
yeah,
he had a great run. Still riding a bicycle around at 94. That's unbelievable to me. That's really cool.
yeah. I can't even ride one now.
Yeah, right. I mean, no,
Well,
there was no father to teach me how to ride one, so
well,
did never learn.
I just don't have a bike, but I would ride a bike if I did have one, but I don't have one. But yeah, so
I wouldn't ride one in this city, but yeah,
no,
I'd
not
like
not.
to ride a bike. I'd like if you lived in Arizona, you could ride it around in the middle of nowhere. It'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah, that would be
like
cool.
old Gene Hackman did.
Yeah, but
Well,
so
that's it. I want to say that. Well, there's a very good chance he had no idea what the hell was going on the entire time. So
hmm
it's the best possible way to die of a heart attack, I guess.
yeah,
is after 7 days of just lying around confused.
hmm and then the dog probably ate the pills and died.
I don't think so. I
No.
think that that dog was just probably rambunctious and they had it locked up in a kennel. Like they never
Mm.
say this, but I'm assuming the other two dogs were older and trained.
Okay.
So, I mean, I haven't had a dog in years, so I don't even remember how this stuff works. But yeah, when you have a dog that's rambunctious, this is why people thought it was suspicious at first,
Right.
because someone had clearly locked the dog up and they thought they were going to answer the door. And like, no, Gene Hackman wasn't going to answer the door. He was trying to leave the door and go outside. He might have just thought, like, I'm going to go for a bike ride. I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know. Who
Yeah.
fucking knows? That family, though, man, imagine having like two daughters and a son, and they don't even check up on you when you have Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's
That's
rough,
fucking
man.
depressing.
That is. Well,
That's depressing.
that's the thing. Like,
Maybe Gene Hackman said the N word in front of him, and they just couldn't be around him anymore.
right? Because yeah, when you have Alzheimer's, your brain goes and you just say you have no filter. So he could have went back to Popeye Doyle.
Uh
and
huh. They were like they called the Criterion Collection and was like, "You need to take that N word out of there immediately."
we heard it in real life.
One N word. One
Yeah.
N word. They censored that movie for one N word. And the best part is that Gene Hackman has no idea because he had Alzheimer's. And I'm pretty sure William Friedkin, who died last year, he died right after it happened. So he probably wasn't even told that they destroyed his art.
Right. But you can still buy the way it was, right? You can still purchase that somewhere.
I don't know. This is the whole point of buying physical media, though,
Yeah.
because they're not censored.
Right. Well,
This is
I
the whole point of it.
that's why I still have DVDs and things because you can't just rely on streaming because they can just edit out something that's becomes offensive in 10 years when it's like, what? That's not the original purpose of that art, that movie, that whatever.
Hmm.
It needs that in there for context, for a story. Like we watch movies because these people aren't perfect, and that's what makes it a good story. Is that people are trying to change by the end of the movie, or they go through a hero's journey, if you will, and they become well, maybe not in the French Connection, but in most movies, the main character is different from the beginning to the end. They're a different person. They've gone through some kind of even if it's just internal transformation. They've become a different person. Hopefully by the end, especially in American movies.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why American movies are gay as hell. That's why I don't watch them. But no, the point of the French Connection and the French Connection Part Two is that Popeye Doyle learns nothing. He never changes. He never grows and evolves, and that is why I like those movies. Is that they're a lot more realistic.
Right.
I also
'Cause
rewatched the Poseidon Adventure the other day, which was also great, and I recommend to people.
I haven't seen that one either. Or I haven't seen
Really,
French Connection 2 or Poseidon Adventure.
you can watch them. Get on Amazon, baby.
All right,
They're
maybe I'll.
awesome. Yeah, the Poseidon Adventure is such a great movie, and it's actually a movie which I think is about faith and spirituality and
Okay.
Jesus, which is something that they would never make now.
No,
They would never make a movie like that now.
not
It's
at
a
all.
fucking great movie.
All right. The last movie
How much
I
time have we done?
we're at 55. The last
Okay, cool.
the last movie that I saw was Memento, which was one of Christopher Nolan's early movies. Not his first. His first is The
The second
Following.
one.
Yeah, his second. It's his second movie, but his first hit. The Following was his first movie, which not it's not The Following. It's just Following, but it's black and white. He made it in the course of many weekends for like no money or very little money, and he just shot it when he could. Good movie too. You could see that even in his first movie, he understood how to mess with time and like perspective, so you didn't quite see what he's doing until the end, and everything kind of ties back together. So, but I haven't seen his latest movie, which was that uh, the atomic bomb one.
Yeah, Oppenheimer. I tried
Oppenheimer.
to watch it because it was on Amazon. I tried to watch it on Amazon Prime and got through about 10 minutes. And I was like, no, I won't watch this. I hate that guy, Christopher Nolan. I really can't stand him. And I hate Memento especially. That's one of those movies I hate watch every so often to remind myself of why I hate it. Because Joey Pants is great in it. Joey Pantaleone.
Yeah,
What's his name? Joey.
Joey Pantoliano.
He's great.
Yeah,
He's amazing, and he's the reason why I watched it both times. So I was like, his performance is so good that I could sit and watch this. But the premise is so fucking stupid. It's a stupid premise. I don't care about any of the characters except Joey Pants, and I'm not even supposed to like him. You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
That's just bad filmmaking. And the other movie of his that I watch all the time, whenever it's on TV, is The Dark Knight with the Joker.
Oh yeah,
God,
that one's overrated.
I've never hated a movie more, and I try to
Yeah,
watch it. It's like Seinfeld to me, where I watch it and be like, "Why do people like this crap?" Can you explain it to? Can someone explain it to me? Like, why is the Joker's performance good? It just seems annoying to me.
yeah.
I thought Jack Nicholson was good.
Yeah, he was a better Joker to me. He's my Joker, Jack Nicholson. But because it's a comic book movie, but they're trying to play it straight, but then it's not. Obviously, he's still acting ridiculous because if anyone acted like that, they would be dead immediately in the underworld. Like no one would just put up with that. It's like, but he's crazy. It's like, well, yeah, but everyone's a killer that he's dealing with. They would just shoot him. They wouldn't just listen to him talk. Let me show you a magic trick. It's like, no, hold on, boom, you're dead. Go bury him in
The second he walked in there dressed as a clown, they would have told him to fuck off. Like, get
yeah,
out of here with this shit.
yeah,
I hate this. Ugh. I hate the way he talks, and there's nothing like it. I hate the fact that the woman in the movie is ugly, and that really pissed me off because the woman in the first movie was hot.
right,
I'm not kidding, dude. I'm like really addicted to heterosexuality or heteronormativity or something like that because I get really frustrated and irritated when hot girls are removed from a franchise.
right,
Like, fuck this, man.
yeah, yeah.
Fuck
It's
this.
the opening sequence is interesting, but even that's ridiculous because the minute that school bus leaves the bank, everyone would be like, "Wait a minute, we're in other buses. We're not going to just allow a school bus to just run through a bank." And they would call the cops immediate. Like everything about it is ridiculous. I know it's a comic book movie,
Yeah.
but
Nah, fuck that. Christopher Nolan has this like he reminds like there's a lot of movie makers that are like this nowadays where they have the attitude was like, wouldn't it be cool if
yeah,
dot 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 like
right,
wouldn't it be cool if this motorcycle shot like flew out of a building and landed in a helicopter? Which,
yeah,
by the way, happened twice during the 90s. Happened in two different movies in the 90s. But I hate that shit. Wouldn't it be cool if, like, the Joker drove out of a school bus and no
hmm,
one noticed? Yeah, I guess that would be cool, but it's still stupid as shit. This is dumb.
right,
I
yeah.
hate this. Dude, I'll tell you a good comic book movie. A good comic book movie is Dick Tracy. Now, there's a comic book
Oh,
movie. Bright colors.
yeah,
It looks like a comic book, but you actually care about the characters. I mean, it was directed by Warren Beatty, so this is someone who had already been doing movies for fucking 30 years or whatever, so he already knew what he was doing.
Right.
Um,
I've never
yeah,
seen
Dick
it.
Tracy's great. Batman Returns is a great comic book movie.
Yeah, that's fun.
Um,
It's just there was more
yeah.
fun back in the day, where they didn't take it so serious and it was ridiculous, but it was also just fun. Like,
Yeah, well, think about the Batmobile. The Batmobile in the original two movies just looks like a cool car.
yeah,
And then when you get to the Nolan movies, it's more like a weird
like
like
military.
military
Yeah,
fetish or something like hey, check it out. This is what our military makes. Like
yeah,
he's driving around in a Hummer or something like that. This is icky to me.
yeah. I actually saw the Batmobile at the Peterson Museum.
I
The
saw that it's there.
yeah,
The 89 one. Yeah, I
yeah.
want to see that so bad. I love that fucking car. That
It
car is so cool to me.
it looks as cool as it does on the in the film. It just looks.
Hmm.
It's just cool.
That's something we've lost in our movies and TV shows. Because even the monkeys drove a really cool car. The monkeys drove a really cool car. Batman had a cool car.
Yeah,
Um, the fucking Scooby Doo gang had a van that was recognizable and cool.
that was there
Now
too, by
everything
the
looks
way.
like a fucking what's that?
That was
The Mystery Machine.
yeah, that was there. Yeah, it was
That's
cool
cool.
looking.
I like the Mystery Machine.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, obviously the one from the live action version, but yeah, they didn't have just a drawing of one.
Well, that's another thing is that when they made that live action version, like they got women that were hot to play Velma and well, is it Wilma and Velma?
I
I
don't
forget.
remember. I don't
And
remember.
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in many. I probably have never seen it, but I would still rather watch that than whatever the new Lord of the Rings is, where
Right,
there's no hot women.
right.
Ugh.
Well, hopefully they
Dude, I
get.
really will sit and watch. I really will sit and watch anything if there's a hot girl in it that I find attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff I watched this week was like embarrassing. There's
Hmm.
this movie called Welcome to Me. Welcome to Me, starring Kristen Wiig. I'm not really into Kristen Wiig that much, but there's this woman named Linda Cardellani.
I don't know.
She was in Freaks and Geeks.
Okay.
I forget what her name is, but she was a supporting character, and I was like, I'll watch this until her character's over. I'll watch this. Hey, this movie is terrible. It's really fucking bad. Welcome to Me.
Oh, dude.
Chris, I think we should wrap up so that I can go get some cat food for,
Yeah, yeah,
for my
yeah,
cats. So
yeah.
they can
I
have
was gonna
dinner.
wrap it up too, because yeah, it's
Cool.
but anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been actually a great conversation with you. So we'll do it again next week. Have a good weekend, everybody.